Hello guys, this is PantsMice36 and today's video is going to be a post-build review of this kit here, which is an interesting kit from Dragon / Cyber Hobby. I guess it's Dragon, but it's one of those weird white box Dragon Expo. I think it's the Dragon Expo 2005. It's the M4A3E8 Sherman Albin F Irzyk. And basically it's not a good kit. This is probably the first post-build review I'm going to say don't buy this kit if you can, because there's tons of better EZ8 kits out there. There's far better, like the Tasco ones are really good. Even the new Tami one, like the Korean War one, is far superior to this. This kit, I think it's the first time I almost benched a kit out of pure frustration. I've benched kits before because I've lost interest in them, but I've never benched a kit because it frustrated me and I stopped having fun. But this kit did it. With the suspension. This kit, as far as I can tell, is a very new turret, upper hull, and it also has a nice metal gun barrel, so you can see in some good photo etch. So the whole upper, everything here and up, is quite good. But the lower hull, not too sure. I believe most of this kit is the M4A2 Red Army kit, or similar. But of course, as you can see, that kit has the standard suspension. I'm going to call it standard, the early suspension, which is the VVSS, right? I think. This is the HVSS, which is those later type of bogies. Now what they give you is the lower hull for the early suspension type, the VVSS, which doesn't have return rollers and has different bogies. So then they just tell you to slice off some stuff, and then they tell you to put the bogies on, and then they're like, and also just kind of put on the return rollers with a couple of bad measurements. Here, as you can see, they have you slicing off parts that are molded onto the hull, replacing them with, I guess, older pieces, because the actual HVSS suspension components are very old and full of flash and huge sprue attachment gates on the wheels, which take forever to clean up. And then they just are like, yeah, just put on the return rollers. And they give you this very not handy measurement, and they're like, yeah, about 41.5 millimeters this way, which if you live in America is gonna be fun converting. And honestly, the way I just lined up these small return rollers, because they actually sit right on top of the bogies. I just put them that way and centered them, and then I kind of held the tank, looked down it, and then glued on the larger return rollers there, and just made sure they were visually lined up with the top of the smaller return rollers, which, as I said, I was able to line up using the bogies. So I didn't even use any of this measurement stuff because it's kind of crap and doesn't really give it in reference to anything. Like the actual, this way they give it in reference to the bottom of the hull, the elevation of the return rollers, but for the actual location they just kind of give it off a center point. And that's kind of just, it's not good. This is like what you see now on Dragon kits, but this is actually quite old kit. It's 13 years old now. It's, yeah, the lower hull was quite not fun. So after the nightmare of the lower hull, which took me forever to do because there's tons of wheels, Shermans have way too many wheels. I thought Panzer IVs were a pain in the butt, but this thing has lots of wheels, especially because it's a later one, so each of these actually use a double wheel station. On the earlier Shermans, it's a single wheel, I guess. It also has all the return rollers and everything, and like I was saying, they seem like ancient molds. So the actual location, or not location, but the size of the sprue attachment points to the wheels were massive. They were like, I don't know, they almost seemed like they were as wide as the gun barrel in some places. They were huge, and I had to sand them for minutes to get them away, and it just took forever. But that was like half the build time, honestly. Then the rest kind of flew together because it's a Sherman. It's kind of basic, and especially the way that they molded it here, they have a lot of the upper hull which kind of drops on. You just put on a couple of details. It's really good. I know there's some kind of primer on it. That's just because I had to fill lots of stuff. I guess we'll talk about that now. I'm just going to start talking random things in this build into order, like usual. On the whole front here, and yes, the gyro sprockets don't fit at all. They just kind of flop around. So I'm just going to take them off before they fall off and bother me more. On the front of the hull, you can see that they have some very nice photo etch guards for the headlights as well as the horn here. And they're kind of a little bit fiddly to put together, honestly, but they are very good. Compared to how bad they could have been. The two headlight guys are actually just one piece. You kind of have to fold them up and bend them. The way I bent them was I just used my usual method of using a paintbrush, and I just kind of wrap it around there and bend it until it's nice and curved, and then I stick it on. The horn guard, as you might be able to see, has almost like a cross shape over there on the inside, which is 2 individual pieces they have to put in, like the vertical and the horizontal piece. But they give you, the pieces actually have like a little, as they kind of go along, like a little like gap. So they'll kind of like slot into each other. I don't know if you can understand what I'm talking about, but one has like a little gap, so you kind of like slide through each other, which is really helpful in making sure they're nice and square and making sure they line up nicely with the top of the little guard, whatever there. So they were actually not as bad as they could have been. The reason why there's primer on the front of the hull there is because they also give you a nice kit option of plastic guards as well, which are super thick, and the kit has these huge like slots that they're supposed to pop into. And instead of just filling the slots, actually I came up with a better idea. I actually glued on the thick plastic guards, which slot in very nicely. I glued them in extra thin and pushed them in really nicely, and then I just took my tandem cutters and cut them like really close, and that did about 90% of the fill job. So I had to get a little putty on there and sand it down a little bit, and then made it much quicker to fill it, because I only really had to do one pass of filler, because the actual gluing in of the plastic parts filled up most of the huge slots. And then I also did the primer there to make sure that my filling job was good. So that's why the front is primer and also the back as well. Similarly on the rear of the hull here, there was more points to fill. There's the same kind of thing up on the top for the photo etch rear light guards. There's also plastic ones that have to kind of pop into place. There's more holes for them there. They aren't very deep holes. They're just kind of like little shallow, like spherical hole shapes. So I didn't have to do any like of that weird filling with the plastic part. I just got a little putty on there and sand them down really quick. That was pretty easy. But also in the rear, you might actually be able to still see a little remnants of them, because I did a bad job filling them, but I don't care anymore, because I'm going to get some dust up here and it's going to cover it up probably. But there's like little slots. There's 2 vertical slots. They're kind of like right about here and here and here and there. And I think they're just for some kind of rear mudguard kind of thing. But they're just like, they just tell you to fill them because it's in the way. It's just kind of a pain in the butt to have to fill stuff like that. So I filled that too, and I primed it as well. So that's why the hull's all weird and red primer. By the way, if you're going to do your Sherman and you're going to hairspray chip it, don't hairspray chip it to red primer, because Sherman's didn't chip to red primer because the paint was baked onto the metal. So the green paint, or I guess olive drab paint, was baked on, so it didn't really chip. It kind of scuffed down to a darker green. But I shouldn't talk about weathering in a post-build review. So more things. Let's kind of start with the lower hull. I've been keeping there, and we'll kind of work up to the top. The rear deflector, which is this guy here, I think that's what it's called, I don't know. The rear deflector is this thing here. This is not the kit part. This is from an Italeri Sherman that I have in my stash, and I kind of stole a part from it. Whatever, I can probably get photo etch options if I want to finish that Sherman. But I'm just happy I had it, because the kit deflector, first of all, is a different style of deflector. It's I guess it has fewer of these like vertical pieces, and it's kind of more curved. But I looked on Google Images and I found plenty of Shermans, Easy 8 Shermans that also have this type of deflector. This is like it's just a different type of M4A3 deflector, and it was also on Easy 8. This is, yeah, so the kit part was pretty good. It was pretty thin, and it was individual like slats. I guess it only had 4 slats, this one has 6. I guess it was a different style like I was saying. But yeah, it had pin marks like through it, and not really, you could just kind of, when you looked in it like this, you could see the pin marks behind it, and it was bothering me, so I hacked it off, and then I kind of put on this piece as well, and it fit very nicely, and so I'm happy with that. But I mean, I'm not happy with the fact that I had to do it, but I'm happy with the fact that I managed to fix it up. So that was another pain in the butt. Also the wheels, as you can see, they're kind of falling off. They don't fit on very well, which is just another pain in the butt, because it's just kind of like irritating. The back set of wheels actually I've glued on, because I figured it might be hard to get them for painting. But the outer sets of wheels, like these guys here, are not glued on, and the either wheel isn't glued on. I just put on some with some masking putty, or not masking putty, masking fluid, which is very good for like temporary gluing things. On the side of the hull here, I want to point out that I've actually I've had to add some weld seams. I've used the Archer resin decal style. I got these recently at a show, like back in March. And I've been using them about a little bit, and though I do like making weld seams myself, these are much more good for straight sections, because they just put them on, they look really good, And yeah, I mean, there should be a weld seam. That's where the front plate meets the side plate. I looked up some more Google images of Sherman. I don't know nothing about Shermans, by the way, but I looked at some Google images and I found another example, and I had a nice weld seam there. I wasn't sure about the back, because similarly on the back I also did the same thing over here, where the side plate meets the rear plate. I wasn't sure about it, but I added one anyways because it looked good. But yes, these are the resin Archer. I think they're Archer. They're like decals. So you get some water on them, put them in a little cup or whatever, and then you stick it on like a decal. I got some microsol in there, and they look really good actually once you paint them up. So happy about that. I guess on the same subject of weld seams, I've also added a weld seam on this guy here, which is, it's like just the mount for the 50 cal stowage location on the back. That they can pop the machine gun in there, and you can see I've had a weld seam, which is that white thing around there. I could have used the Archer one there, but it's kind of thin, or too thin for that, and also a bit of pain to get it around there. So I used some, I think it's 0.015 millimeter or something like that. That's a really small gauge styrene rod from Evergreen. Wrapped it around there, glued on with some extra thin cement, and then afterwards got some more extra thin on there, softened up a little bit, and then used my hobby knife to kind of cut that little texture into it of the weld seam. I have a video on this, and I'll link it up in the top, kind of over here, or whatever, if you guys are curious, because it's pretty useful to do that. Though it's actually even more useful to just buy these Archer ones because they look pretty good. On the front of the hull, we have a very nice cast texture molded onto the plastic, which is nice. This kit, even though it was quite irritating, it did have very nice cast textures molded on, so that was good. So I did not modify the cast texture here at all. One thing I did do was I had a little bit of a trouble kind of making sure that, because this strip here with the bolts was a separate piece than the actual, I guess, I don't know, the transmission cover bow plate piece there. So I had a lot of kind of like stress trying to make sure that they would fit together nicely and not have a seam. And I think there's still a little bit of a seam in some places, but I don't really care anymore anyways. Once I get a little bit of like a wear on there, it shouldn't look too bad. But yeah, these two parts, like the actual bottom half of this bolt strip and this piece, are one section together, so I had to make sure that they were nicely fit. And the kit parts didn't want to fit nicely, so it was just a bit of a pain. I had to kind of like clamp and hold and everything like that. But that went well. Like I was saying, a nice cast texture on there. You also get these nice little photo etch tow cable clamps. I had not put the tow cable on because I don't want to, but the actual clamps themselves are kind of like the Dragon ones you get on the like a Panzer 38T or something like that. It's three parts. You got like a bottom piece which you have to fold up the sides on, a top piece which you have to kind of bend it to a rounded shape, and then you have a little wing nut that pops in the back. And as usual, they're a little bit fiddly, but they look very good. There's also another one in the back as well. Maybe that is a better shot of the tool clamp there. It is very nice. It's a great addition. The Asuka Shermans don't have that, it seems. And also, you note, nice piece of photo etch right here as well, as a kind of brace for the fender guard there, so it's just nice touches to the kit. The photo etch they give you is very good. And you can also see the headlight guards there, like I was talking about earlier. They're very nice. And also the headlights, as well as the horn for some reason. The headlights, the rear lights, and the horn are all molded in clear plastic, so you can mask off the end. And then when you paint it up, you'll have a nice clear region there. Looks good. Moving on to the upper region of the front hull, we have the drivers and the bow gunners hatches here, which are quite basic. The actual handle for them, which is this thing here, is not hollow, which is like a big blob, whatever. But they get nice photo etch headlight guards, as you can see here, which you have to fold up again. They don't give you a jig, which would be useful, but they also give you plastic options as well, which are very thick and ugly. But I just kind of kept those around and use them as a guide for bending. It's honestly not that hard. They're kind of like flat, and you just got to kind of get these two, like almost like the legs. You just got to bend them down about 45 degrees. So the actual kind of like square piece in the middle just kind of sits up on top of the periscope. And the periscopes themselves are clear plastic. As you can see, I've got some masking tape on them to mask off the clear bit. And they're actually kind of, the way they pop in, the whole headlight, like not headlight, the vision block turning around, I don't know what you call it, the little pivot piece, the round thing. They give you like a little slot, so it always sits straight. In real life they could spin around a little bit, so I kind of modified the kit part by hacking off the, it's almost like the turret here. There's like little things that stick out and kind of lock in, so it keeps it straight. So I just kind of cut those off, and that way I can actually rotate this round piece here and get the periscope to be facing off to the side for the bow gunner. And I did the same thing on the turret as well. For the driver, I kept it straight because I want him to be able to see where he is going. Also, I do believe that this top plate here should be cast. I'm not 100% sure, but it often looks like it is because it's very curvy and rounded in shape. So there's no cast texture on that component, so I just kind of stippled it with some extra thin cement and a little bit of putty in some places, and I just kind of made it look a little bit rough. And also on this region, we also have the very nice casting information here. I'm not too sure, the copyright symbol, I guess, and some kind of information about what type of Sherman this is, because there's multiple different types of Sherman EZ8. I figured out when I was building this. That's a very nice touch. It's also in the turret as well. For the engine deck area, they give you it's actually pretty basic. They give you the tools and the engine deck covers, and that's basically it. They also give you an M4A2 engine deck, I believe, as well. So if you wanted to, you could build a Fury, because the Fury was an M4A2 Canadian post-war Sherman that fought in Korea. So if you want to actually make an accurate one, don't do an M4A3 like it should have been, because the US EZ8s in World War II in that region were they were A3s, not A2s. But yeah, they give you, I believe, I'm not too good about Shermans, but they also give you another engine deck. And because some of the sprues in this kit were for the M4A2 Russian EZ8 type of Sherman, I believe it's an M4A2 engine deck as well. So if you want to, that's kind of a cool addition. I went with the A3 engine deck, I think. I went with what they told me to put on there. I hope it's an A2, or sorry, an A3. But yeah, it's pretty basic. You got the little like covers for the fuel and everything here. Little, I guess these are like crane mounting locations. Here's the other of those tow cable clamps over here. As I was talking about the rear light guards and stuff like that. You also get the tools, which are pretty basic. They don't give you the straps, which they're kind of should be there, because there's also like little straps. I think, I don't know, there's like these little things molded on. I thought those were like, and they could be straps, I have no idea. But basically the tools are very basic looking, but the whole kit isn't that uber detailed, so I mean, I don't really mind. I'm always disappointed if there's like some really impressive parts of the kit and then some really bad parts. But if the whole kit's kind of meh, it doesn't bother me as much for some reason. It could be better if they gave me some nice photo etch, or at least some more detailed tool clamps for the tools, because basically the engine deck is just tools and vents, so it's pretty bland up there. Alright, now we'll move on to the turret, because it's all that's left basically. And it's probably the best part of the kit, because there's no bad lower hull to ruin it. The metal gun barrel they give you is very good. I would have wished they gave me a metal muzzle brake as well, because the plastic muzzle brake kind of had lots of seam lines on it. But since in real life it's a cast piece, I just kind of got over with extra thin cement and kind of just melted it down and killed off the big seam lines and stuff like that. So it looks pretty good. One weird thing is, as you can see, there's almost like two baffles in the brake, right? There's this end flat piece, like the square shape here, is the outer baffle. It has a hole drilled in it. The inner baffle, which is this other edge you can see sticking out there, if you can see, there's no hole. Like there's only like a hole here, but the rest of the muzzle brake is just kind of like full. So yeah, it's kind of just like bad. If I had a pin vise, which I do not by the way, I would drill through here and continue the hole into the second baffle. But I don't have a pin vise. I always drill my holes with a number 11 blade because I'm weird. But it's not that visible, honestly. Well, actually it kind of is, but I don't think you really notice unless I point it out, which I just did. Like I was saying before, the cast texture is very good. You can see that I have put some putty on this, mainly because I need to get rid of the seam line between the upper and lower halves of the turret, because as usual you get a bottom piece which kind of curves up. You can kind of just follow where the putty goes, but yeah, in real life there's not a weld seam there, but there's sometimes a weird like seam looking mark, rough edge kind of thing, so you can be a little bit messy with how you filled it. My fill job isn't perfect. I didn't really fill it. When you put them together, you get a little bit of a gap, but you don't really need to fill it. It's not like a gap, it's more like a faint seam area. And I also kind of wanted to finish the cast texture, make it look a little more rough in some places on the side here, so I did some more kind of like stippling and sanding down there. I also added the cast texture onto the, I guess, the shell ejection port here, because it was smooth in the kit, and I wanted to make that a little bit rough. As well as I added some putty onto the top of the mantlet here, because there were two sprue gates there, so when I kind of sanded them down, I kind of got rid of the cast texture, so I kind of rebuilt it a little bit. But overall the cast texture is very good. I did not touch it on the top at all, because it looks good up there. And like I was saying before, you also get more of those kind of like casting marks. Get the weird like copyright symbol over there, and some more stuff on the front which tells you what type of EZ8 Sherman turret that this is. We also have one of those other periscope mounts there, like I was talking about on the front of the hull. Same exact thing as the loader, or sorry, the bow gunner and the jiver's periscopes. You just make 3 of them. Another periscope in there, which is I guess the gun sight, the unity sight, and once again they have more tape on them because I've been masking them off. The cupola, interestingly enough, has the periscope molded in the rear location. Obviously this top piece could spin around so the commander could use his periscope in all directions, but they kind of just molded it in this direction, so not much of a choice there. And once again, I've masked it off a little bit. The clear periscopes are very good though, they look nice. And also the cupola itself, sorry I'm off shot a little bit, the cupola itself has those little clear parts that can go in there. I have not put them in yet. I will paint the whole thing. I have not glued the cupola on, so once I've painted, I'll pop it off, stick the clear guys in there for the actual viewports, and then I'll actually glue the cupola on. The actual kind of like springy retention whatever's for the loader's hatch there look very good. I believe there should be some kind of an antenna mount here. I think it's outside, but there should be some kind of antenna thing there. But there isn't. I also added the cast texture onto this piece I was talking about before, which is the kind of like mount piece for the 50 cal stowage location there, I think. It was also smooth like the ejection hatch on the side here, so I added some putty and cast texture to it as well, and also the weld seam like I said before. You'll note that I've not put on the 50 caliber machine gun because it was absolute trash. I tried to buy a Tasca one at my local shop, and then when I showed up somebody bought it, so whoops, I guess I will not have a 50 cal. But it's fine. But yes, the kit 50 cal is quite horrible. I started to clean up the seams and then I gave up. I was like, no, this one's not going to have a 50 cal on the top. Apart from the 50 cal and the fact that the loader, or the commander's periscope is just kind of fixed in that spot, the turret is very good. I do like it. The mantlet is, you can move it up and down and stuff like that. I've glued it in though. And the muzzle brake, I guess the muzzle brake is also a little bit of disappointment as well, but whatever. This is the best part of the kit, so which is not saying much, but the actual turret I think is very good. And hope you can see the cast texture. It is very impressive. Obviously the turret is a newer part than the lower hull. Oh, also, there should be, in this little weird like triangle thing right here, there should be some kind of a piece that kind of swing up and braces the 50 cal barrel when it's mounted. But they don't even give you that thing in the kit, so you just have like this weird little mount for it. It's just whatever, I don't really care because there's no machine gun anyways, so yeah. As you can tell, this kit is kind of just depressing in some ways, but in the end when it builds up it looks pretty good. That cast texture, it's very nice. So that basically wraps up the most of the kit, at least the parts that I built. As you can see, the wheels keep falling off as well. You note that I have no tracks on it. That's because the kit tracks are the worst tracks I've basically ever seen in my life, because they are horrible with these pin marks. I'll show you. Can see they're still in the bag. I haven't even I don't want to touch these things. But there are pin marks on them. And they couldn't put the pin marks on the flat side, so at least it would be easy to fill them, because these are T80 tracks, yes. So if they would have put the pin marks right there, I could have at least filled them and had a little bit of hope in making the kit look good. But instead they actually give me the pin marks on the side of the track that has the chevron like that. And some places they're raised, some places they're sunken, and they're just a pain in the butt. You can also see there's a huge seam line on them, and also the sprue attachment points are on the sides where the pin heads are. So once you sand off that molding point, you lose all your pin detail. Also, these are individual attachment sprues, so they're kind of just demoralizing in the first place. The actual teeth are over here. Once again, more huge seam lines on them, multiple attachment points. Yeah, just mainly the seam lines look horrible. They're huge. I don't know if you can see that very well in the light, but there are huge seam lines on each of those guys. So, yeah, not going to do this. Probably going to get the Kaizen T80 tracks, even though they're like 50 parts per link. If I could get some somehow magical like DS ones, that'd be pretty great. Or if I could find some T66, which are individual link tracks, like they're one piece, not multiple parts, like those ones are, because those ones have like the track, and then there's between each one there's a separate guide horn piece and 2 edge pieces. So each track is actually more like 4 parts. That would be great, but I'm probably going to go with the Kaizen ones, which is kind of weird feeling because this kit was quite bad. So I feel kind of weird putting on some good tracks because it doesn't feel like it deserves it. But I basically glue all the wheels on anyways, so I don't think I have any other option for being able to actually get the tracks in there if I went with another option. But yes, apart from the fact that the tracks are horrible, the lower hull is horrible, the rear deflector is full of pin marks, there's huge locating points for all the photo etch options, the muzzle brake looks like crap, the 50 cal is unusable, probably missing some things. Oh yeah, poor fit of the transmission cover, the wheels don't fit on, and the tracks are horrible. Yeah, apart from all that stuff and a few things like they don't actually give you locating points for most of the the tools and the these little guys that like the little curvy things here where the crane would hook on to pick up the tank. Yeah, there's like, yeah, just put them on. Just put them on. There's no locating points for them. Apart from all that stuff, the kit is buildable. But yes, I will never build this kit ever again. I will probably not get a similar Dragon Sherman kit. I have another one. It's an M4A2, but it's not the same kit as this. It's a much better kit, so that one should be good. But after that, I'm probably going to go with Tasca because I want to actually enjoy my Sherman builds. This kit, I would not recommend it unless you really, really, really want to build Albin F. Irzyk. I hope I'm saying his name right. Easy 8 Sherman that fought in the bulge. The markings they give you are pretty cool. I'll show you them. And even though my Sherman kit has been modified, it has a different rear deflector, it has 50 cal and other couple things that I change up on it. I'm still going to use the markings. They're pretty cool. They're like those darkened out crosses and stuff. Or sorry, not. I built too many stars, not crosses. And then the same kind of thing up there with those identification stuff on the side of the tank. That's a cool option. So I will be using those on the Sherman at least. And I will be doing a weathering video on it too because I haven't built a Sherman in forever, and I want to do one standard weathering procedure video on olive drab where I can show you that you should not chip it. You should scuff it up and make it dark instead of chipping it to red oxide primer, which I don't think ever would have happened. Especially because some American tanks were primed in gray, not red. But apart from all that stuff, well, I keep saying apart from all that stuff, but really it all ends up with, don't buy this kit. It wasn't even that cheap when I bought it. I paid like 45 bucks for this. I could have bought a Tasca Sherman for about another $5, and I would have enjoyed that, and I would have had to spend another $25 on some magic tracks, or sorry, not, or Kaizen tracks, sorry, and basically killed another Sherman kit for a rear deflector. Yeah, it's not good. I was on Skype with Adam Mann and Michael Hamilcar Barkers at the time, and I was going through the lower hull, and I realized I glued the drive sprockets. They don't give you any guide to how to put them on. If you put them on, they give like these weird little notches right here, right, to kind of just line it up. But if you actually have it on the other way around, because I guess you could put it like this, or you could just spin it around because there's a notch on either side, so you don't know which way to put it on, right? If you put it on the wrong way, which I did, the teeth don't line up, so they're offset like a half link basically. And then I had done it on both of the drive sprockets, and I had a tough time. I thought I couldn't unglue them because I glued them like a month ago. So I nearly just got rid of the kit right there and ordered a Tasca, which I probably should have done because whatever. But I managed to unglue them, fix the drive sprockets, and that kind of finished the lower hull. And then I kind of went onto the upper hull, and it made me not want to destroy the kit. But yes, that's the first time I've ever almost just like tossed the kit because it was so bad that I was not having fun anymore. As I'm sure you guys know, I do often try to be quite positive in my reviews, even if a kit is not the best thing ever. I still try to talk about the things I enjoyed about it and how good it was, but with this one, nah, just don't buy it. Just stay away. It's not good. Buy another Easy 8 from Tasca or Tamiya instead. Also, by the way, Tasca and Isuka are the same company. Yes, so that's about it for this review, guys. Do not buy this kit, but I will be, I finished it, and I will be doing a weathering video on it and showing you guys how to weather a Sherman. I hope you guys enjoy that. I don't know when it's going to come up because I'm going to have to buy some like I was saying, aftermarket tracks, which can be a pain because there are going to be multiple pieces with tons of pins, and it's going to take forever to get the tracks together. But someday you will see a weathering video on this Sherman. So hope you look forward to that. That's my review of the Dragon. What's the box number? 66283. The Albin F. Irzyk M4A3E8. Easy H Sherman, I guess you call it. Yeah, just don't buy it. Buy something else instead. And I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Huge thanks to the patrons who support me, and your support is much appreciated, so I can buy stuff like tracks to replace kit tracks. They're horrible. I guess I gotta thank you all by name. We have Gary Wayne Bradford, Stephen Eldridge, Philip Kruger, Stanislaw Koyanek, Ricky from Ryan's Painting, Harry Ainsworth, Chris Corse, Ian Sustrick, Johnny Foxtrot, Richard Ward, John Butler, Sam Murphy, Yihan Ju, or Jihan Ju, sorry, I'm bad with names that aren't Canadian names, and Barry Olich and Jun Yi. Your support is much appreciated, like I was saying, and also huge thanks to my my PayPal supporter, Dr. EO. Yes, thanks for watching very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. If you've built this kit, let me know what you thought about it. Though it's probably going to be basically what I thought about it, which is you kind of regretted it. Yeah, I'll see you next one, guys. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.